Hey guys, it's Bob Turner. I'm back with another episode of the Summit Podcast. I've got a great guy with me today, Jason Sisneros. But welcome back, everybody. I just want to, sometimes I can just bring somebody on and say, yeah, we're here with so and so, but this dude deserves an introduction, and I couldn't memorize this. I'm going to read some of it. All right, this guy right here is a business architect, a keynote speaker, a podcaster, and a man who's helped build and exit over 24 companies. But honestly, that's the least part of the story. How am I doing so far, Jason? All right?
You're rocking it, bro. I'm
Great.
taking you with you. I'm taking you with me on on the road.
All right. Jason's journey includes adversity, bankruptcy, homelessness, panic attacks, and rebuilding from the ground up, not just once, but multiple times. What makes him different is that he didn't just recover. He re-engineered how businesses and lives should be built in the first place. He's the creator of the Built to Exit philosophy, a framework that challenges the hustle until you're broken model and replaces it with intentional design, freedom, and alignment. He's a dynamic speaker, and I know this because in October, we got fired up, and he blew the roof off the Mach 5 event down there in Houston. He's a deep thinker and someone who doesn't just talk about success. He talks about meaning and ownership and what it's actually cost to build something that lasts. So, Jason, I'm fired up. I know you are. Thanks for being here. Welcome to the Summit Podcast, man.
I'm happy to be here, brother. I've watched your episodes, and they're so packed with value. It was a real honor to be invited to come on and talk to you. And we bonded pretty decently there at Mach 5 with your better half, you know, as well.
Better. She's very tolerant.
Yeah, she is very tolerant. But yeah, it's great to be on with you, brother. I can't wait to have a conversation.
Yeah, man. I mean, let's get right into it. Like, I mean, before the stages and all that stuff, like, what life looked like before you were, when I sat with you at dinner, I elbowed Wendy. I go, this cat over here just sold the business for like 60 mil. We're just eating dinner together and hanging out, and that was pretty cool, I got to tell you. But I know it's not always been that for you, and I know
it's a great question. And I just did an event up in Atlanta with a bunch of Christian businessmen, and it was just all us dudes, right? And so we were able to unleash on each other a little bit, and everybody was there, just like Mach 5. I mean, Mach 5, anybody watching this, if you ever get a chance to go to Mach 5 and you don't take it, you're just not trying, And but it was the same. I got the same, same environment, but there's this idea that because somebody's a speaker and because somebody is online and they've got an online presence, that there's any character behind it. And the only time that you find character is in adversity, right? And at least in my life, most of the people that I know that have had everything handed to them, there's very little there.
Yeah.
And so when you push on your chest, there's something behind it. When you push on Steve Rosenberg's chest, there's something behind it, right? And that creates this idea of character. And where does that come from? Where is character built? In adversity. What is adversity but pain, right? And pain can come in multiple forms, right? I have my story, you have your story. We've all heard the sob stories. As you well know, one of my best one-liners is nobody cares, right?
Yeah, true.
And it is true. But at the end of the day, we have to see a little bit of ourselves in what we watch, or else we don't really connect to it. And so my story, just like everybody else's, has adversity in it. I was adopted when I was young. My adopted father, very abusive, rearranged my face a few times as a child.
Yeah.
Was very abusive to my mom. I started stepping in front of her and taking those beatings. He was finally put away for attempted murder of me and my mom when I was 17 years old. Yeah. That environment created a very angry me, and also a very capable me, which was not a good combination. Capable in the fact that I'd been fighting a full-grown adult since I was 7 years old. I watched him deal drugs, and I was delivering drugs at 12, and I was a good enough fighter. I was basically the size I am now, since 6th grade.
Wow. Yeah.
So
that's a good size. That's big for 6th grade, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
giant.
It was, and so, so I was able to fight. I had a lot of anger inside of me because I was pissed at the world. And so how that came out is basically a scared little boy is now you're going to intimidate everybody and you're going to be a badass and all that stuff. And when he went to prison, I now had nobody else to blame my life on but me. And I ran hard into the criminal lifestyle there for a few years until my first son was born. And that gave me a reason. Like, God is funny, right? God has a great sense of humor. He gave me a boy,
Yeah,
when
there
I
you
was
go.
when I was young, 19 years old. And I'm like, I was still running around doing those stupid things. And I got to thinking, I'm the result at that time, I'm the result of what happened before me. And so he's going to be the result of what happens after him. What if I change that? It was just
Break the
a
cycle.
fleeting thought. Like, what if I changed that? And so I did. And I had amazing men. Like, I love your podcast for one reason, lots of reasons, but one reason is that you're offering mentorship
Yeah, thanks.
to those people that are watching you that think they're on an island, being forced through and having the challenges that are very unique to them. And your show breaks that down to say, that's not true. Like, if you're a business owner, right, if you're trying to grow something, we all have very similar situations and pains and processes. And so, I had people like that step into my life along the way and say, hey, Jason, what if you did it this way? And then I started to understand this concept of modeling, which is, I want to model the behavior, or I want it, first off, I think it starts like this, Bob, is that we go, I want what that guy has.
Yeah.
A beautiful wife, a beautiful family, a beautiful house, respect, a beautiful car, travel. Like, we start out from that perspective, but then you get close to it and you go, hey, how did you get that stuff? And they start to tell you, you have to go through hard things. I'm like, well, I've been through hard things.
Yeah.
I qualify. When does it get to me?
Sign me up.
Yeah. And for me, my hard things weakened my character.
Yeah.
Right. They
Right,
were
yeah.
like, the world owes me something. I was blaming people. It weakened my character, which meant that I was never going to step closer to the gold ring. I was going to only step further away until I started to understand what gold ring holders actually are made up of.
Right.
It's a character. You have it. Steve Rosenberg has it. I have developed it over time. And that is telling the truth, working hard, not letting failure take you down all the way,
Right.
bouncing back, pivoting, those types of things. And so that's what I did. I got into business. I crashed 3 companies in a row. That caused another, whole level of pain that I had to solve mentally. And then eventually got my act together, Bob, by modeling better business owners and figuring it out, right? Of how to run a successful business and then selling that company. There's 3 types of exits that I talk about. One's an involuntary exit, and most of us have tried to do something that failed. That's an involuntary exit. You run out of cash. Second one is you build something that somebody actually wants to acquire. That's a dictated exit. Now they're the boss. I'm not, because I know how to do roofing, or I know how to do drywall, or I certainly don't know how to sell my company. Right. So I got my ass kicked in that environment. And then I'm like, okay, my life has always been, what does Bob know that I don't know? What does Steve know that I don't know? What do these guys know that I don't know? And now I'm like, okay, I want to know everything that a private equity mergers and acquisition expert knows. Because I'm damn good at turnarounds. I'm damn good at now building assets that are profitable, and I don't have to be there and all that stuff. But I don't know anything about how to sell, right? And so I made friends with some of the greatest PE firm guys that I could find, and ladies, and they taught me a lot. And so now I built back again. And, that's where you're talking about my big exit. It was because I had what we now call the custom tailored exit. I knew when I wanted to exit, how much I wanted to exit for, and under what terms. And I learned the skill sets to be able to do that.
You got paid.
Got paid.
That's good. Hey,
Yeah.
That's awesome. And I know that's the Reader's Digest version. So question for me is, like, you talked about fighting, 7 years old, having to, like, so you're up until a certain point. I mean, everything was a brawl for you. When did you come off the ropes and go on the attack? And when was there a point where it switched from covering up and defending to, okay, now we're going to play?
What a great analogy, bro. Like, the first thing when you started to say that, what that popped into my mind was I started shadow boxing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Right.
isn't that the case?
Yeah.
Like we're all like bowed up for all these fights that are around us. We don't quite know how to fight. And the first battle that we have to overcome is ourselves.
Yeah.
And so shadow boxing, you're watching your moves, you're watching your jabs, you're watching, how your body moves and all that kind of stuff. So you get control of that. And I think that going on the offensive for me was when I went from being selfish to learning through a series of mentors that the real key to success in life, forget money because money ain't it. It can be a part of it, but it can also get to be such a burden that it ruins your life. Right. So money's a tool and not the outcome. It's a tool. It's the outcome of what that switch was that I saw in everybody that I admired, you and Steve and every one of my mentors along the way, which was there was a spirit of servanthood, right? There was this, I'm going to serve you. I know that in order for me to be valuable to you enough to write me a check, or for you to be valuable, to be valuable enough to you to be a friend, right? Or to whatever it is that I have to serve you in some way. And that means make myself less, right? And step back. And the more that we make ourselves less, the bigger we actually become. And that's opposite of what the world teaches us.
Yeah, for sure.
It's completely opposite. I want to get my name out there and I want to be on social media and I want to do blah, 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 blah. I haven't spent a dime on advertising, not a dime, brother. And I'm 54 at the back end of a huge sale. Now we own three major corporations outside of what Built to Exit has become. And it's comes down to one thing. I want to be the greatest servant in people's lives. That means wipe your feet on me. I don't care. Talk about me behind my back. I don't care. Sure. Like, do what you want to do. But at the end of the day, when somebody mentions the name Jason Sisneros, they are either going to lie about me or they're going to say that is one bad mofo that you can count on.
No,
right.
Yeah.
And so the offensive is actually going to that place, right? Is to go, I'm here to fight, and I'm here to fight for children that we rescue. Women that in the domestic violence, feeding people, the business owners that we're behind. Like that's the kind of warrior that has been built inside of me. When I stopped fighting, against everything and started fighting for something.
Yeah. It's, I don't know I have so many quotes, but I forget who to credit this to, but it's one that I've been living by. I would say the last couple of years, it's find your uniqueness and exploit it in the service of others. And dude, like you're 54, I'm 56. We're roughly the same age, give or take a couple of years. And, it takes a while, doesn't it, to figure it out? And
way too long, brother.
I'm like, damn, I said to Wendy one day, I said, I'm tired of the not being settled, to not, being where I want to go, and I was talking to a friend last night and he said, man, you're doing great stuff. I go, yeah, I'm working on being that 10-year overnight success people talk about, and being willing to do the things and go live every day and just give and give and give and give and give, and I know you do that too. And you just touched on something and I want to ask you about it because you mentioned it at Mach 5 and it was about the time you've spent rescuing kids and the domestic violence and stuff. Just you hit on that for a second, but if you don't mind switching it up, let's talk about that because I think that's a huge part of who you are and where you're headed.
Yeah, it's in the Bible it says that and again I'm not a Bible scholar by any means that's going to preach at anybody, but the stories, right, the gist and the meaning behind this book and this verse are that we as men are called to protect, like first and foremost, the most vulnerable, right? The children, the women, the infirm. And when you look at the world, it's kind of completely opposite of that. I found out that people were raping kids for profit. I said, that's not going to stand. I can't, I don't know what to do, right? It's still like a lot of people with their businesses. I don't know what to do, but I know I'm going to do something. And that led to me doing a Facebook Live and talking about it. Somebody watched it, knew my background, said, hey, we would love for you to go, strap on a bulletproof vest and go undercover with us to go rescue some kids. I'm like, I'm in. You know, if that's the best way for me to do something right now, then I'm going to go do something.
Yeah.
My first love was domestic violence, obviously, because of what my mom went through.
Right.
And, you know, if all she would have had was some economic support and some psychological support and some spiritual support, she would have been able to leave. And obviously some help from law enforcement would have helped. But she was a captive in her own home. And a lot of people in domestic violence are like, well, you're the idiot that's staying, so there's nothing we can do. That's not how it is.
It's not that simple.
Yeah, it's not that simple. Every 11 minutes, there's a woman being attacked in her own home, right? You know, there's 10 million children that are being trafficked for either sex or labor. Every 4 seconds, somebody in this world dies of starvation. Like, these are the things that we as men, when we go, okay, you know, I've got a house, I've got this, I've got a business, I've got those things.
Yeah, I'm all right.
And then it's honor bound. We're honor bound to take our excess to serve the less fortunate. And that's not to feel, you know, not people that say, oh, this or that, like everybody's a victim these days. I'm talking about real victims. And my definition of a real victim is when somebody has had choice ripped physically out of their hand and is being, I don't know, utilized for the power of the person who took it. And those are the fights I want to get in. Right? Those are the fights I want to get in. So now when, you know, I sold, I was like, just like everybody else, I'm like, I tried retiring a long time ago. I knew I wasn't going to retire, but I thought I would be doing just rescues and just philanthropy type stuff. But when I saw 2020 happen and we all got called non-essential, the very thing that freed me, the very thing that took a nobody, a loser, a nobody from nowhere with no last name and no connections and no family history and no nothing, and handed me the opportunity to carve out a man of service, a man of integrity, a man of truth over the period of time, and then to be able to free myself and then to go out and free others. The thing that we get caught, that's non-essential. No, it's non-essential to those people who sit on high and go to government, which is public service, to be that they're supposed to go and serve. And Benjamin Franklin said it, if you go to public service poor and you come out rich, you stole.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
And so we've got a bunch of those people who go there to be rich, not to serve us. They go to set rules against us and to steal our tax dollars and to steal our efforts and to steal. That's not what America was built on. No. America was built on the concept of a merchant. Right? Everything that we see around you, everything behind you, everything that we're talking on right now, everything in this world is because of a merchant, because of a business owner. Right. It exists because somebody took a risk and decided to put their name behind, you know, the Spartan race that you have behind you, right? The microphone that you're talking. Somebody had to say, I'm going to put a couple $1,000,000 into this thing. It's everything I've got. It's my grandma's money. It's my daddy's money. It's my mama's money. It's my mattress money. It's my wife's money. And I'm going to put this behind this idea and go out into the marketplace and let yourself be judged by how well you serve. Right? Now, that is who we are. And you call us non-essential? Right. No. $17 trillion of our economy, non-essential? I don't think so. 60% of the hiring? I don't think so. 90% of the jobs that exist, you're going to call us non-essential? No. And so I saw another big fight. Yeah. And I told my wife, why? When you look around and you look at United Auto Workers, what do they have? A union. Yep, union. When you look at the steel workers in New York City, what do they have? A union. When you look at plumbers, when you look at everybody's got a union. Yeah. Electricians, everybody's got a union. Protection. There is zero protection, zero protective bodies that protect small and mid-sized business owners. Now there's one, and it's called the Owner Syndicate. And that's why we built to Exit, and why I'm on the mission that I'm on is, by God, if I'm going to be the only one that does it, if somebody comes along with a better idea, great, I'll support it. I don't want to be doing this at 54 years old, but it's a calling on my life, just like when I saw kids being raped, I had to do something. Just like when I saw domestic violence, I had to do something. Just like when I got the opportunity to talk or to get involved in feeding people, I had to get involved, right? If we lose small and mid-sized business owners, you have to work for giant corporations or you have to beg from the government. Not on my watch, baby. Not on my watch. So I want to make everyone watching this wealthy and rich, and then I'm going to come knocking on your door so we can fill up our pack and have our money and have our politicians and have our platform. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing.
I love it, man. You got a lot of energy. You touch on the business thing, and you talk about what was that thought? Talk about owners being trapped in business a lot, I think, and versus being free. Like, we started business to be like, hey, I got freedom, right? And I think you were talking about it, but maybe in different context down at the event. But freedom, and the first thing you have to check at the door to be an entrepreneur is freedom. And speak to that for a minute, man. That's just messed up.
Yeah, it's you have to pay the piper, you know? Yeah. It's like, I don't know, the Greek mythology or whatever, where, you know, you have to have the coins on your eyes to be able to pass to Valhalla or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
Probably mixing a whole bunch of metaphors there, but at the end of the day, right. But at the end of the day, you have like even the parable of the talents in the Bible, right? It's like, here you go, right? Which I believe is our life. The very breath that we get, that's a gift. Every one of us has it. Now, what are your talents? Are you a singer? Are you an artist? Are you a business owner? What kind of business are you good at? And that's our talent. And then in order for us to be able to reap the rewards from that talent, we have to risk, right? We have to serve. We have to hone those skill sets, right? If you're a warrior, if you're out protecting the country, you're getting drilled and you go to boot camp and you get, you know, okay, now you're okay to go out here. And then you go over here. Oh, maybe you go to special forces, right? Or maybe you shouldn't go anywhere and because you can't do 5 pull-ups and you're going to stay in an office somewhere, right? Yeah. It's according to our talents that we go out into the world. And so when we talk about being a business owner, the first thing that we sacrifice is pretty much all of our money, right? Mm-hmm. Pretty much all of our free time, pretty much any level of certainty that we had before, it's gone.
Probably a few relationships along the way.
Definitely some relationships along the way, some necessary, some unnecessary. Right. But at the end of the day, what I find in business ownership is that the biggest barrier to progress is comfort. It's getting to that place where we're making our house payment, you know, we're putting some bucks away. We're finally able to make payroll. We're doing some stuff. And that is the very place where most freedom is sacrificed, is at that moment. Instead of pushing a little bit harder and saying, okay, if this is the amount of money that I need, well, what do I have to do? I have to sell 2 times more, get 4 new people on board to be able to afford that. And therefore the cash flow will remain the same. I'll be able to just step back and let this company run and blah, blah, blah. But now, no, it's like, you know, we make a little bit more money. We go, cool, I could throw that in there. I could upgrade my car. I could get a better house. And then we're broke at a higher level and we wonder why we can never leave. We're trapped.
I like that. Broke at a higher level.
Broke at a higher level by our own volition without overcoming that idea that, okay, I'm good. Now, every penny that I spend, every system I buy, every piece of software, every hire that I have, all of these things from here forward are going to go into a bank account so that I can buy my freedom back.
Yeah. You talk about built to exit, and not every company is built to exit.
Very few.
For a minute, talk for a minute about, kind of, to me, it's like the epitome of beginning with the end in mind, right? And so many of us, myself included, started a business at an exit. What are you talking about? An exit is when I decide to stop, right? And I'm not ever gonna. I would never sell. This is my identity, my baby. Right? Yeah, for sure. So I mean, talk about that mindset and what maybe are some big misconceptions about exiting.
Yeah, exiting, I think for a lot of people that don't understand the concept. If you're a business owner, just get right with this one idea. You're never going to retire. You're just never going to retire. And let me tell you why. You don't want to retire. Because when people retire, statistically, 18 months later, they die because lack of purpose. Lack of a reason to be alive, lack of giving back, lack of making an impact. So get right with the idea you're never going to retire. So now let's talk about that word exit. That word exit comes down to one meaning, and that is choice. I want to take the choice to say, I don't have to go to work anymore. That's it. Now I can do these other things that I'm going to do to keep myself busy, to make myself impactful. And you can do that in a couple of ways with a business. One is exit with all your time back because you put a team in place. And by the way, now what you've done is you've built your business to exit because nobody's going to buy your business if you're necessary in it in the first place.
Right.
Okay.
Good point. Yeah.
So the only exit people should be focused on, forget about Instagram, forget about the fancy cars, forget it, stay in the same home you're in, stay driving the same car that you're driving, don't upgrade, don't try to impress people, and every excess dollar that you have goes towards your exit plan. Okay? Your exit plan. We call it the end game. What is your freedom number? Right? And we started to calculate this, right? With Roberto that was in the audience.
That's
when
right.
we were at Mach 5. And I said, what's your exit number? I don't know.
Yeah.
No, very few people do.
Right.
If it's, let's say that it's $2 million and that $2 million is invested wisely and it's spinning off 10%, right? That's a couple $100,000 that you have coming in. You don't have to work, you know what I mean? You got $200,000 coming in.
That'd be okay.
So then make $2 million your outcome.
Mm-hmm.
And a whole bunch of business owners that are watching this right now could very easily cobble together $2 million in the next 3 years with whatever it is that they sell. If that became their intent, was making sure my freedom fund is going to be fully funded. I just have to sell 10 more of these. I have to invest that. I have to freeze all spending, right? But that exit is when you get your choice back.
I see.
Whether I do it, whether I don't.
Not necessarily tied to a sale. You got your freedom. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Huh. Yeah, that's interesting. And I appreciate that because I've always looked at these exit conversations as for other people.
Yeah.
For,
of course,
just being honest, for people that have, multi-million dollar businesses that, somebody comes in with venture cap and says, yeah, we'll buy you. We don't, just get out of here. We got this. And the one I was involved in was way, way down lower. And it took the company that bought us 4 years to run us into the ground.
Yep.
But they were successful.
Yeah.
And
it happens more often than you know.
Yeah, and it was a tough ride to be on and see this small company, small business get stripped of its identity and core values and people, and it just sucked.
It's our biggest chunk of business is people that tried to go through an exit and they're coming back over here to somebody that knows what they're doing to help them actually exit. We have so many exit rehabs that we have to do. It's crazy.
Yeah, and I've talked to a lot of guys too that say, yeah, I had a company. I had a company way back when I sold it, but I didn't know what I was doing.
Right.
And you said that.
Yeah.
And so they got to get with somebody like you to make sure that and it doesn't have to be when you're ready to exit. You could, get a hold of Jason and say, hey, listen, what do I need to be doing right now?
Yeah.
To position myself. So
you don't have to get ready if you stay ready. And my main message is build your business so you don't have to be there. And now you have something to sell.
Yeah.
Right now, if you want to sell, you're like, okay, instead of just kicking back and taking the money or whatever, a lot of people love what they do, so they keep doing it. Right. But when you're ready to make the biggest transaction of your life, which is going to be your business, then when you go to make that transaction, now you call somebody like us to go, hey, how do I beef this up? Instead of getting 4 million, how could I get 8? Right.
Right.
What are the things that we could do? And we just come in and do that. But we also help people get to that place where they just get their time back.
Yeah. And that's really, our most valuable asset. Am I wrong?
Amen. That's it.
Right. Especially, you hit 50 and things start kind of falling off. You're like, what's going on here? Get out of bed and go, all right, nothing really hurts that bad today. So I guess I
don't know, brother. I'm going backwards. I feel better than I did when I was 25. So,
good, yeah. Good. Well, you're a successful guy at this point in life, 54. You've done the thing. I don't think there's anybody that would argue that, hey, Jason's done all right in life. How do you define success today?
Yeah, I can tell you by the amount of children that are rescued.
Mm-hmm.
I could tell you the amount of women that we help in domestic violence, the amount of meals that we were able to provide, by the success of the business owners that we're working with, by the smiles that I can get out of my wife, right? The little giggles, the challenges that I'm helping my kids overcome and the tequilas that I have with my friends.
Yeah.
You know, those are, I'm getting ready to go on vacation. When I was a kid, just saying these words, Bob, that I'm going to to St. Vincent,
Mm.
right? And
Yeah.
in the Caribbean Virgin Islands,
Mm-hmm.
and staying at the number one resort there, like that, like these words that are coming off my lip, it doesn't seem real even to this day.
Wow.
But I'm going, yes, it's going to be gorgeous. Yes, it's beautiful, but I'm going with lifelong friends.
Yeah.
And I look forward to this trip every single year because we go, what were we grateful for? Right? What was our successes? What did we mess up last year? And we have these serious conversations over 8 days out on beautiful boats, on beautiful hikes, and on beautiful sandy beaches. And it's it's that kind of thing where I'm like, that's what inspires me. I want to bust my ass all year because I know at the end of it, I want to tell my friends, here's the stuff that we did to change the world.
And iron sharpens iron, right?
Every time and twice on Sunday.
Yeah. I love it, man. This is cool to be able to get a chance to just sit and shoot the shit with you. You were at Mach 5, and I think the morning I spoke, you came in after I spoke. And I was like, shit, I want Jason to see my talk, right? But one of the things that I share with people is in the book I wrote, it's called Finding Your Edge. And so one of my things is like like your edge is already inside you, and it shows up as like when I ask people what's your edge, they say, what do you mean? I say it's like where you go when the shit hits the fan. It's how you show up differently than others and what you bring to the table that others don't. Okay, so I didn't prep you for this question. I'll put you on the spot, but I know you'll be fine. Jason, what's your edge?
Joy.
Done.
Yeah, it's joy.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, everybody has whatever has happened to them in life. And we all have a primary directive that usually we're operating with our entire lives that was planted in us by people that didn't know any better, called our parents, had no tools like our parents, right? And then we go through school with a whole bunch of adults that are just as screwed up as anybody else on the planet with no tools. And so what do we expect?
Yeah.
Right? Is we end up with that programming and how we view the world and how we see the world. And mine was, how do I protect myself? And I radically shifted that into how can I be a powerful world changer that enjoys every breath? And I shrunk that down to joy, because when I'm in the shit, and this, you can ask anybody on my rescue team, business, anybody, when things are the hardest, I show up, you said I had a lot of energy. I show up with the most amount of joy and the most amount of energy in those moments because it's transformative to the situation.
Right. Yep.
I refuse to allow the world to impede on me. I'm going to, I almost said the F word. I'm going to impede on it.
I know Steve, right?
But I'm going to impede on it. Because if not, I'm just going to allow that, which means I've given away my choice, which means I'm a slave to the situation or I'm a slave to my emotions. No, discipline and practice have me enjoy all of the time. Of course I get pissed and of course I get sad, but I go home, my home is joy.
Yeah. Dude, the perspective that you have, like, I mean, you're one of those guys that when you walk in a room, everybody knows you're somebody. Because you just command some space.
Thank you, brother.
And that's just, to me, that's just cool. You come across as a supremely confident guy, but in a way that's not intimidating or, type A or D on the disc scale or whatever all that stuff is. You're just doing your thing, man. And I respect you tremendously for that.
Thank you, brother.
And for what you're doing, your willingness to help people. And from a place of like, that you're coming from a long way back when you step into a domestic violence situation and help unwind that or help a child. So I don't know anybody that's got the resume for that, just lived it and is like, now you literally just turned the tables, like, okay, my turn. And so mad respect for you for doing it the way you're doing it. I know you're impacting the world in a huge way. So I appreciate it. I've got one more question for you, and I didn't
Shoot.
prep you for this either. And it's I ask everybody this, and I just kind of, I set the mic down at the end and say, listen, the floor is yours. What do you want people to know?
Yeah. There's a couple of things. Number one, you're not alone. If you could just understand, all you got to do is reach out to Bob. I mean, he's got the biggest heart on the face of the planet. He's got a team around him. He's got lots of people who love him and respect him. Same thing on our end. You're not alone. And that's a big game changer when you understand I'm not alone. These problems that I have, I'm not a unique flower. I just need to get around the people that will protect my vulnerability and not take advantage of it. Right? So I'm not alone. I think the fruits of the Spirit, really, whether you read the Bible or you don't read the Bible, understanding the fruits of the Spirit are love, and that word love can be weakened because somebody says, "Oh, I love you." I love you. I love that beer. I love that. You know what I mean? Like, it can be weakened, but love in the biblical sense is an act of righteous indignation. Like, I'm going to love these kids so much that I'm willing to throw my body in front of them, right? I'm going to love my wife so much that I'm willing to throw away all of the boyhood bull crap of making life about me. I love my kids so much that I would sacrifice my very breath. I will do whatever I can to make sure that the Sisneros name means something. Love is an action, and it's an outward action. And you can only generate that kind of energy of love from the center of who you are if you love yourself. And there is no reason why you should not love yourself at a super high level. God loved you enough to put breath in you, right? There's people who never have been on this earth. There's people that woke up today, that didn't wake up today, that had a plan for today. There's people that are dead everywhere. You're alive, and you've been given that gift of breath. So love that, and love the things about you that you think are wrong. I have all kinds of weird personality quirks, but I love me, which allows me to go, if now it's like, oh, I'm just going to be me. And for most people, what that means is I'm going to be an asshole and you're just going to have to deal with it. That's not what love does. If I love myself, I don't need to prove to the world that I can be like, oh, you're going to just have to deal with Jason as he is. No, if I love you and I come to your home and you've got a little thing that says, take off your shoes before you come in here, I'm taking my shoes off.
Absolutely.
Not because I'm a lesser man because of it. It's because I love myself enough to love you, to follow your standards. Right. And if I find in your home that, God forbid there's something going on, I'm going to be like, let's raise your standards.
Right.
Right. Yeah. So I think that's it, brother. We're not alone. Love is an action, joy, and peace. Like, those are the first three of the fruits of the Spirit. But if you focus on that, I think you're going to be just fine.
Yeah, man. Again, the perspective, like I said to somebody today, I said, I kind of looked outside. I said, hey, I'm on the right side of the grass.
Amen.
And they said, well, it's snowing up there, isn't it? I said, yeah, it is, but I'm still on the right side of the grass. And if you frame, if you frame it from there, like, no, I don't have to, I get to, all that kind of stuff, right? Yeah. And really, truly believe that. It can get you through a lot of different days, a lot of different relationships. And getting back to loving somebody, I kind of know what you mean, because, and I'll use my relationship with Wendy. There's things that maybe, in previous relationships, my behavior where, I would react a certain way, I think now, and I pause and I'm like, I'm not sure that's going to land well. And I maybe they call it growing up, maybe they call it getting mature, but I think it's more that I don't want to let her down. Yeah. Right. And I don't want to let me down. So we're always striving to be better, dude. We're never done, right? Like, we're always going, we're always moving the goalposts, moving the finish line. I don't know where you're going from here. You're probably going to live to be about 140 because of what you're doing. I got 150
on my wall. So
all right, there you go. I knew it. I love you, brother. I love what you're doing.
I love you too, brother.
We're going to get you on again someday. I know I'm going to
Anytime.
see you in the future, and I just feel like our paths are going to cross repeatedly, and we're trying to do some of the same things, and iron sharpens iron, brother. Appreciate
Amen.
you.
We need
Thanks
more
for being-
people like you and your team and Steve, and we just need more
Thanks.
men. And
Yeah.
not just men by yourselves. We need to all band
Yeah.
together.
Yeah.
Okay, we do some of the same stuff together. It's not competition anymore. There's no competition. That's what I've learned. The biggest lesson in my 54 years is that I thought I had competition. No, I
Yeah.
got collaborators,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah, I really come from that rising tide lifts all boats school of thought, and especially in the contracting world, I would always reach out to local guys and say, hey, what do you know? How can I help you? And they'd be like, it's a tough thing to break down through, but in the coaching space, it doesn't seem to be that way. We all just help each other, right?
Right. Amen.
So anyway, been great. I know you got stuff to do. I've got
Absolutely.
stuff to do. It's been a long day, and I appreciate you catching me here at the end of the day. Thanks very much for coming on. Guys, this has been Jason Sisneros on the Summit Podcast. Jason, how does somebody get a hold of you if they want to reach out?
Smoke signals. No, yeah. There is a big J signal that shows up, that you can get and put it into the sky. I show up like Batman behind one.
They were all today. They're like, oh, geez, one more bald guy. I don't know.
That's another freaking bald guy. Yeah, I don't do the mustache thing as well as Steve does, but
right.
Is what it is. No, They get a hold of me. JasonSisneros.com is pretty simple to do, and then built to exit.biz if you need help with your company. But catch me anywhere, Bob and these guys.
I'll get it in the show notes, guys. Hope
sure.
you enjoyed listening to this episode of the Summit Podcast.
Give Wendy my love.
Will do.
Okay.
Same to your wife, and
Absolutely.
hope to see you guys real soon. Thanks, buddy. I appreciate it. Take care.
Anytime.
All right. Bye-bye.